They are in Atlanta again this evening, and somehow they lose this one too. No gigantic blown lead, but once again, the crunch time problems for Boston, where there's debates amongst Celtics fans that I follow about whether it's the offense or the defense. I think the offense still has major problems in terms of Tatum isolating, but the defense has problems too. They have issues in the clutch defense from that perspective as well. Dejounte Murray tonight shot 44 times. He had 44 points on 44 shots, 7 boards, 7 assists. That is a 2004 ass line right there from Dejounte.
Yeah.
And I for one am here for it. I think that's amazing. Bogdanovich chips in 24. Tatum goes for 31, 13, and 6. They get 22 from Derek White. Quiet night from Jaylen Brown with 18 points on 17 shots. KP has 20, but he got to a really hot start and then really cooled down. Look, they were asking in the NBA chat. The Joe Delaire hit me up and was like, Matt, is this March basketball or Celtics? And I'm like, look, yeah, Boston has problems in these late game situations, but overall, I'm sticking with this is March and it's fine. I'll talk about why, but what was your reaction to watching this one?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it is March and it doesn't matter overall, but we have been blessed because the whole narrative that we've been saying every week on buckets for literally the entire season, along with everybody else, is that the only thing we're worried about with Boston is Mazzulla, Tatum, and late game offensive situations when games are tight. And they've been smashing everybody the last 2, 3 weeks and all season, basically. But we've been blessed now with back-to-back road games. For throw away the other team's jersey, Matt. I don't care who it's against. It could be Atlanta, it could be Utah, it could be whoever. It could be Chicago, it could be the Knicks. But we got blessed with 2 late game situations where the Boston Celtics are on the road, and it is essentially crunch time, possession by possession. How are you going to put these teams away? And the Boston Celtics in back-to-back nights off 2 full days of rest, no problem. The Atlanta Hawks, remember, were playing their fourth game in 6 days. The Celtics had 2 full days off. This is what we want to see and how they're going to react. And in multiple nights in a row, they reacted poorly. I'm in the camp of, I'm not sure why the Jaylen Brown jumper to go up one wasn't the last shot of the game. I'm in the camp of have the last shot, have you have the ball with the last shot, either
Yes.
win the game or lose the game and go home. There is absolutely no reason to leave the Atlanta Hawks 6+ seconds and DeJounte Murray 6+ seconds for him to have the ability to run in the backcourt, pick up the ball, and then bring it up and essentially have an ISO situation against Drew Holiday. I know Drew is a dog, but that's still a tall order. Now, if you leave 2, 3 seconds left on that clock, then you start thinking about blitzing him and sending another guy over there. It
Yeah.
puts him in a completely different situation where if he does decide to give it up, that's going to be a catch and shoot, get up as soon as I possibly can, ill-advised heave to try to win the game, right? 6 seconds is a completely different story. So that was number one. I think overall, no matter the roster, if the biggest dog on the roster is tight when things get tight, a la Jason Tatum, the rest of the team is going to be tight. That's just what it is. And I believe that's the reason we're coming down the stretch here and things aren't as smooth and are still question marks on what they want to do because Jason Tatum is flat out not comfortable coming down the stretch when these games get tight, whether it be in Atlanta, Boston, good comp, bad comp, whatever you want to call it. I do want your opinion on this, Matt. I know overall this stuff doesn't matter, but we've been blessed to see some late game situations, as I've mentioned, before we get into the playoffs. I saw your correspondence on Twitter as well, and I've talked about this recently about the best after timeout play is going to Porzingis on the elbow and running offense out of there. I still was shocked to see Tatum, essentially a decoy, in the backcourt just standing there. Like, hey, you are not going to be involved in this offensive possession that is going to be to win the game whatsoever. Just stand here behind half court. We're going to go to Porzingis on the elbow and figure out however we want to get into action there. It ended up going to Jaylen Brown. He ends up knocking down the big shot, but that still deep down rubbed me the wrong way for situations when we get in the playoffs. So it was a really interesting finish. I was on record on buckets yesterday. I thought the Boston Celtics would just bounce back against a tired Hawks team and blow those guys out. I ended up splitting. I took the under in Bucks Pelicans as well. But give me your thoughts on the decoy Tatum, and this has to matter a little bit. Just the last 5 minutes of these last two games matters a little bit. Of course, in the grand scheme, it doesn't matter. I think if these dudes were ever to see each other in the playoffs, which is a possibility as the Hawks hang around in that 10 slot, the Boston Celtics should take care of business in 5 or less. But I also said that last year, and we saw what happened. They did end up pushing 6. Yep. So talk to me about the decoy situation and just overall, do you agree or disagree with me on Tatum on the team essentially getting their late game form from Tatum being a little tight personally? Reflects on the team.
All right, first off, those of you that are hanging out in the chats, hit me up with a like on this video. Give me that like button. Second, all right, here, let's talk about the Tatum stuff. So, okay, the ideal is that you have this closer who's like DeMar DeRozan that's like always comes up clutch for you and always scores a big basket. Like that's obviously the ideal. But there's been kind of this debate of like, look, you want the ball in your best player's hands. However, I will say this. If you were constructed like the Celtics, where you were not built around one dynamic player who's heliocentric, if you are not built that way, and that's not how this Boston team is built. Like they're built around like, hey, we have a really good ass team. Like our team is the superstar. Is that we are so good 1 through 5 that we have the starting lineup that's so good, and that our combinations are better. Okay, if that's who you are, you should be flexible in end game situations. That's how you should be able to generate offense. You should be able to be like, look, this isn't the matchup, right? This is not the one that we want on him. Tatum struggles in these spots, and Tatum has been so. Now you don't want Tatum losing confidence, right? That's a concern. What you don't want is you don't want Tatum being like getting in his head about the late game stuff. But I think in certain positional situations, like you should take advantage of the matchup. And like I do think that putting Porzingis in that spot is probably the best way for them to generate offense. So I'm actually kind of in favor of this. I don't think that I've asked a lot of teams and players, like, why do you guys go to like you run great offense the rest of the game, and then it comes down to the last possession, and you're just like, let's ISO, let's do hero ball. Why do you do that? And their response is always, I don't know. I'm dead serious. They say like, don't know, man. Like that's just what we do in the NBA. And I'm like, okay, but like you could run a play, like you could run a set. It's still basketball.
Well, Matt, you know the answer though, because there's an alpha in the room that says, hey, I want all the glory. I'm the guy getting paid $50 million. Well, I want to get the ball in an ISO situation, and I want to be on SportsCenter, and I want to be the guy being talked about on Twitter. That's essentially why, because at some point there's an alpha in the room that's saying, hey, fuck all that running offense. Give me the ball one-on-one versus a guy, and I'm going to put the dagger in him and win the game. That's like the overarching.
This is like thing. What LeBron was talking about with JJ Redick on that podcast this week about they all want to run ones. Yeah. Right? Everybody wants to run ones. I get it, right? And there are guys I think that you want in that kind of a situation, like fuck it, I'm gonna go score. But I don't necessarily know that Boston is that team. Like that's not how Boston's built. You know, Tatum's good, Tatum's great. He really is. He's a great player. But he has really struggled in these spots. Now, I think it'll be interesting to see going forward if that's the same case in the playoffs. The other thing that I think you have to kind of remember is the other reason they do this is it lowers the chances of a turnover. You want to make sure you get a shot. Guess what the easiest way to make sure you get a shot is? ISO. Like you just run ISO stuff, and that's how you get it. So I think that's kind of interesting. 56% in the chat saying that they think Boston should be concerned. I think that's really interesting. Here's the argument for why they shouldn't. March basketball is fake. None of this is real. This is all AI generated basketball. None of this is real. And if you want proof, like go look at I posted this the other day. I'll post it again. The list of double-digit comebacks in March alone. It is just berserk. It's not just double-digit. It's like 15, 17, 19, 22, 26, 30 the other night. It's in a weird spot. The other thing is that Boston's effectively clinched the 1 seed. Like it's done. Like they're going to be the 1 seed throughout. They've clinched the Eastern Conference. the Nuggets last year when they clinched the East, they lost to the San Antonio Spurs before Victor Wembanyama. Like it when you have nothing left to play for, it takes something off of you. You're just going through motions and reps.